Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Ben Creech, and welcome back to We the People TV, where we promote civil discussions on solutions. So, I want to be more transparent as the host of this channel and host and creator of this channel about my beliefs. So, I'll be taking a political compass test. So, this is one of the most popular tests out there. Basically, you know, I guess it's the best based on how popular it is and how much people tend to be. We're gonna go through it and try to go as fast as possible. So let's go. And then I'm gonna be comparing what I did about a month ago on July 10th. So we'll see how much I changed in a month. You know, people usually change. I'm very open-minded, so I change a lot on my beliefs. There are some that I very stand stone cold on, but stuff like that. So, but let's get into it. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should probably serve humanity rather than interests of transnational corporations. I agree with that. Of course, sometimes interests of transnational corporations serve humanity, but in the end, again, they're always primarily serve humanity. Although transnational corporations should develop a profit so we can keep people on the job and be able to keep people have that opportunity of employment. I always support my country whether it's right or wrong. I definitely strongly disagree with that. I do want to say that you can support your country's ideals. However, you can disagree with the government and its policies. That's something that we should definitely be out there. No one chooses his or her country at birth, so it's foolish to be a part of it. I definitely strongly disagree with that. I think you can be a part of the country you're not born in, or you're born in. And, you know, it definitely could be proud of where that country is and stuff like that, and what the country represents. Always says many obviously strongly disagree. Race is just the melanin in the skin. That's the only difference that race has, and really science confirms this. It's definitely stupid to think your race has superior qualities. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I agree with that. But it does depend on what the enemy of my enemy is. And sometimes both of them have to be the enemy, and we have to make sure. But in general, war tactics, yeah, this is a great idea. Military action devised international law is sometimes justified. I definitely agree with that. I think there's certain aspects where we have to use force that we really don't want to use, that is maybe define international laws in order to protect more people, protect the innocents, and so forth. In war is messy, and war never changes, you know what the saying out there, so we can get more into that later. There's now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I definitely agree. I feel a lot of people, especially in Twitter is so toxic in this way, but basically proponents of people who are entertainers being respected, and in that respect, whatever the entertainer shares on the social media platform, people usually tend to take that information as fact because they like the person who's changing. And that's something that's very worrying with that kind of fusion between those two. People are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. I definitely agree with that. I know there's cases that people are divided, so I don't strongly agree, but yes, class is, and I believe that class is definitely what divides us, and I believe it's a hierarchy that human nature will always represent. The best thing is we can create a system that will allow people to economically and socially be able to have mobility and go up and down, whatever they choose to do in life. And I believe having the most equal and most opportunities out there for people to choose from and to get their life going if they do so, and be able to move from the low class to middle class, or middle class to rich class, or low class to rich class. High class, I should say, is a better word for that. So low, middle, and high. But you get the idea that I'm trying to do. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I believe it's important to control both. But you know, sometimes inflation can cause more than just unemployment. It can cause food shortages. It can cause so much out there that ultimately that we need to control inflation more than controlling unemployment. And just look at Zimbabwe and Venezuela. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulations. I agree with that statement generally, but we have to have a discussion and debate about the regulations that we want to impose on the corporations to protect the environment. From each according to his ability, to each according to his needs, a fundamentally good idea. This is a Marxist idea. Marx said is a quote. This is from Marx. This is one of the main ideas of communism and socialism. However, the idea by itself is the good idea, and that's why I'm gonna agree. But I definitely disagree with what it's connected to. Fear the market, the fear the people. I agree with that. Now, it depends on your definition of the free market and stuff like that, and that's a conversation you need to have later on and stuff like that. But again, whatever it's connected to, what system, and that's different conversation. But in itself, the statement by itself is, I think I agree with that. I think that's also a good idea, and I think that yes, to fear the market, to fear the people. It's a sad reflection on society that something as basic as drinking water is now bought and branded consumer product. And I definitely have to say, strongly disagree with that, because having the ability, having the freedom for people to create better water and sell that can help when, let's say, public funded water plants fail, and then people need water to live. And sometimes, you know, for example, in Flint, Michigan, when Flint, Michigan was having their crisis and their water was tainted, it was a great thing that they had the opportunity to buy bottled water to be able to survive on, or have it donated to them. And that's something that we definitely need to have, and I think that's a good idea to have, and also have some kind of knowledge on how water works. I used to work at a city doing line maintenance on wastewater and water systems, so I also think that's a good idea to kind of have that balance between the public and the private when it comes to something even as basic as necessary as drinking water is. Land should be a commodity to be bought and sold. I definitely strongly disagree with that. I believe in property rights. I believe that land should be private and public, and that it can be bought and sold and transferred to different people and stuff like that. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute to nothing to society. So I agree with this. It is regrettable. However, the statement or proposition, as the political compass people talk about, let's say people who manipulate money does contribute to society, but the statement in itself says they don't. So I would say people who contribute nothing to society and just manipulates money is definitely something that is regrettable. So I agree with that. Protectionism is sometimes necessary and true. I strongly agree with that. I believe we definitely should protect our corporations, protect our intellectual properties from foreign governments, especially in trade. If you look at the situation with China stealing intellectual properties, that's something that we really need to stop and really protect the people here who are creating their patents for their inventions that create better products and services for us, and in trade create better products and services across the seas. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Now I feel like this is definitely something that we need to think about. I don't think it's the only social responsibility, so I definitely disagree. But it's definitely a priority with a company. This company needs to make a profit to survive and to be able to pay its employees, but also if it's public, definitely needs to make a profit to pay its employees as well as the people who are shareholders in the company. So, but it's not the only social responsibility. The rich are too highly taxed. I agree with that. I believe there shouldn't be any income tax. What your labor produces and gets you should be able to keep all the money that your labor produces for you. So I think that's why I think the rich are too highly taxed. I think everyone's too highly taxed. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of Medicare. I definitely strongly agree with that. I believe if people have the ability to pay for better healthcare, that they should be able to get better healthcare. Because there's times where public funded healthcare really it's not the same quality, and you know, having this discussion on healthcare is definitely great, but I believe that people should have the ability not to have the coverage. have access to high standards of Medicare. And we'll have this conversation here on this channel about Medicare healthcare in this country, in the US. And I can't wait for that conversation. I think I'm gonna have some people out there, so I need to ask them about that. But I got some people in my mind that would definitely be all range of ideas that definitely would be great to have a conversation with. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the government. I strongly agree with that. A general free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator monopolies to create monopolies. Monopolies do not create a free market. I believe in that statement right there. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Now, I'm personally against abortion morally. I believe abortion should not be a choice and matter personally, except when you rape or you're a victim of rape, incest, or if it's your life is threatened. So personally, I believe it is a more reprehensible thing to do, to be able to choose what lives or what dies, especially for a life that haven't has the opportunity to live because you decide to have an abortion. But legally, I believe that we can't restrict that. It's a really complex situation. I can't wait to have a conversation on this issue, because it's two extremes. Okay, one extreme is like, oh, women's rights, I understand that, but also the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And those extremes definitely clashes, and no extremes want to give up any kind of a poor, any kind of compromise to have the both be equally important, because both are equally important. That's what I believe. So I believe in a compromise in that situation. So when I say it should always be legal, I have to say disagree because there's other situations in that. But our authority should be questioned. I definitely agree with that. Definitely should have the ability to be questioned, freedom of the press, and so forth. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I disagree. I think there's a lot of situations you don't really need to, take something that was taken from you. I believe you could be the better person in the situation, and so forth. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. I disagree with this. I think if your community votes in to publicly fund theaters and museums, they should be propped up by that cannot survive on a commercial basis if they're failing with profits and stuff. But also, museums are very important to preserve history, and to know the future is to know the past, and to not repeat any mistakes of the past. So the past history is very important for any kind of society out there, any civilization, and it's something that we should definitely not remember, and we should definitely prop up, even if it cannot survive on commercial basis. So actually, I would say strongly disagree. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I agree with that. I believe, you want people to go to class. You don't want people not to go to class and then force them to go to class and, well, end up failing anyways. So it's really that point. So all people have their rights, but it's better for some of us that different kind of, I strongly agree to that. Everyone has a right up to the point where they violate other people's lives, and appropriate punishment for that sometimes require their lives being taken away. But everyone has rights. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children, yes. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents, yes. Processing marijuana for personal use should not be criminal offense. I agree with that. Actually, I strongly agree with that. Prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Yes, I believe that schooling should be able to go out there and get people to have opportunities of employment, of bettering their lives in the future. At least school should definitely prepare people for that, but also prepare for life, and to make sure people are, not ignorant of government, of how life works and stuff like that. So, but I think the primary is to find jobs, because I feel like that's what people should be and should be have the opportunity to do. and schooling should teach people how to be an adult and to be able to get the opportunities and make the most out of them. People with serious and healthful disabilities should not be allowed to abuse. I strongly disagree with that. People should be able to have the choice to do so with regards, even if they have an area with disabilities. I'm not a proponent of eugenics or whatever it's called. The most important thing for children is to learn to accept discipline. I agree with that. I feel like discipline is a sign of maturity. Of course, this is something that what does it mean by discipline? But I feel like people need to have discipline in their lives to be able to have order in their lives and be able to then fix problems in their lives and be this is mature. It's really a very important mature thing to have. I definitely need to learn more on discipline too myself. I think it's really something that I feel is important. There are no savage or civilized peoples, there are only different cultures. I definitely disagree with this because, well, the culture might be like your fascist culture or your communist culture, authoritarian nature culture. Definitely don't want that kind of culture. Definitely think that culture is savage because it tramples on people's rights and human rights. So I would say there is savage and civilized peoples. But it depends on what you mean by that. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. I agree, this is a very important thing, to refuse the opportunity. I believe that we should be able to create as much opportunity as we possibly could, maximize it for people. But yes, if people are refusing that opportunity, they shouldn't be expecting society's support. And if they're able to work, that's also very important. Of course, people who have disabilities that hinder the ability to work definitely should have society support. But it's also how would you do society support too? So that's another conversation I'll have when it talks about homelessness and unemployment and stuff like that. We'll be talking about that stuff and solutions toward that, and we'll go more in detail about that. When you're in trouble, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I would have to say, disagree. I think you definitely need to think about it and definitely need to talk about it, but you also need to be on the statistics. So it's kind of like, it's great to be busy with more cheerful things, but you eventually have to think about it and talk about it because you don't want to have that bottle up. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated. I strongly disagree with this. My grandma came over from Vietnam, and she was a first generation immigrant, and she was fully integrated with America. It was a culture shock, but she was definitely fully integrated in this country, and this country is great for that. I mean, this country is built on immigrants, so it is a great country, but I feel like first generation immigrants can be fully integrated within the new country. What's good for most successful corporations always ultimately good for all of us. I have to disagree because it's not always. Ultimately, there's a lot of situations where it's for corporation, and what's good for them is good for all of us. For example, creating jobs, creating opportunity for people to better their lives. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. I disagree. Government grants are great for people to create things and keep things going, and keep the freedom of press going. In some sort of capacity, and helps fund those situations, fund those projects and such, and broadcasting institutions. Civilians are being essentially curbed in the name of counter-terrorism. I strongly agree with that. Significant advantage of a one-party state? I strongly disagree. Anything with one party, I feel like it's just a road to oppression. Whether it's communism, fascism, or monarchism, there's always going to be, even like there's always arguments to delay process in the democratic politician. No, arguments help create process, and that's progress. And as long as arguments is civil, and you're able to vote and stuff like that in a democratic political system. So I strongly disagree with this. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only one theories need to be worthy. Strongly agree with this. We all have a right to privacy, so just remember that. Death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. I agree with that. That's something that I think we definitely need to talk about. But I really believe that, let's say you kill like hundreds of people, you know, still definitely deserve not to be supported by taxpayer money. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Now, I agree with this when it comes to the military, but questioning and stuff like that, I feel like, you know, it's generally in a civilized society, I feel like there still needs to be, you know, some sort of, I guess there needs to be some sort of law and order. The rule of law is important, as well as there needs to be, it's a hard statement because it depends on a lot, like what do you mean by this, what do you mean by that. I would disagree. After I called that doesn't represent anything should be considered art at all. If it doesn't represent anything, if it doesn't represent an artist of expression or freedom of expression or whatever, I don't believe it's really art at all. Personally, but if it represents something, if this abstract art represents their expression into the world, then that should be art. But since it says doesn't represent anything, then I agree with that statement. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I agree with that, but I also agree that the war on drugs should be ending and that there should be rehabilitation programs for drug users, because I feel like that's a really good thing. But a lot of punishment, a lot of criminal justice involve crimes that are violent and whatnot if you take away the war on drugs. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. I agree with that. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the. I disagree with that. Mothers may have careers, but the first 30, I disagree with that. Multinational companies are unethical, exploiting the genetic resources of development companies. It really depends, but I'm gonna put disagree because I don't think they really are unethically. There needs to be more evidence in my eyes to make a general statement of that. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I do believe that in the sense that if you have peace of mind with the establishment, but if you actually believe in going against them and stuff like that, if you still have peace of mind, you'll be more of a healthy approach to changing the system, changing the establishment. Astrology accurately explains many things. I strongly disagree with that. I took a lot of psychology courses, and astrology is something else. Cannot be more without being religious. I strongly disagree with that. You definitely be more without religion. Although religion definitely creates the moral question, I believe, but these days and age, you can be. Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the general affairs. I strongly agree with that. I believe charities, has proven time to time again to be better than government welfare programs in terms of action. Some people are naturally unlucky. I agree with that. It is important that my child. I strongly agree with that. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. I agree with that. Same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from possible. I strongly agree with that. Pornography depicting consisting adults should be illegal for the adult population. I agree. Though there is problems with human trafficking right now, I think with Pornhub. There's a video in the description below that I watched about that. So, watch, see what do you think. This guy named Minahar, some ordinary gamers, kind of dives into that situation that's going on right now. But since this is saying description consisting adults, so nothing to do with human trafficking and stuff like that definitely should be legal for the adult population. What goes on in private bedroom between consisting adults is no business of the state. Consisting adults, again, that's a very important thing, so I definitely agree with that. No one can feel naturally homosexual. I strongly disagree with that. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. I agree with that. I feel like there's a certain point that, sometimes sexual matters need to be private. Now, let's see where I go. Alright, we're gonna see where I stand. This is where, like, what other people stand at. Some historical figures and stuff like that. So it talks about a lot of things. I am actually slightly to the left, which is surprising me. I actually, going going in, you know, I made another video about this, but I kind of shelved it, make a faster video about this. But you know, I was more right here in the middle, but now I'm more to the left, so that's kind of surprising to me of how it changed. So this is what it is today. That's what my political position on the political compass is at today. Here is my previous one a month ago. So I've definitely changed a bit comparatively, as you can see. They've been changed more to the left. However, not socially, just more economically. But there's more debate on that, on this, what I support and what I don't support. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. So I'm really curious to see where you guys are at. So hit us up on my social media, you know, send us a picture on Twitter, or post on Facebook a picture of you where you guys at, or in the comment section of this Facebook post of this video. I hope this you know, really showcase where I am or what my position is, and I hope this will help open the conversation a little bit on my positions, and definitely want to have more conversations on my positions, and definitely want to go more and deeper. So hopefully that can be it. So yeah, thanks again for watching this, and let's hope to make We the People TV what I wanted to be, which is basically to promote civil conversations and debates, and to promote freedom, equality, and justice for all, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for all. And that's basically what We the People TV is created to do. Hopefully I can get more people of diverse ideologies and positions and stuff like that on this channel. I just want to be the host and creator, and I want to have a lot of other people on here with different you know, views and viewpoints. I don't want this to be an echo chamber, so hopefully we can get to that one day. But again, here's my position, and I really want to know what you guys think of my positions in the comment section below. So yeah, take care, guys, and have a happy trails.